The sports hit list, ladies and gentlemen, by the fans and for the fans. Carl Coulange here for the review of episodes 9 and 10. A wonderful documentary we just finished watching. Let me introduce my panel. We have the coach, the resident coach is in the building. He has a background. Coach Womack, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. I got the shades on because my eyes hurt from how much greatness I just watched on that screen.
we have the pastor himself for the Sucker MCs, Mr. Mike Miller. Mike, my brother, how you doing, man? I know you were hyped for that episode.
What's up, my brother? You already know.
I know it was. We have Branden in the building. Branden, are you ready to make up for last time? People have been wanting to see you make up for this one, right? You ready to go?
Absolutely.
We have Marcus from the Mark My Words podcast. Marcus, how you doing, bro?
What's going on?
And we have Andres. Andres is in the building. Andres, how you doing, man?
Doing amazing, man. Always a pleasure.
Benedict Andres, man.
So before we begin, last night I was at the club and I saw LeBron. I saw all these celebrities. I saw Pippen. Were you guys there? Because I was hoping to see you guys there at the ludicrous battle with.
Yeah, we was there.
You was there and Nelly, because from where I was sitting, I was in VIP. Mac, I didn't see you.
I was there. I was actually
there.
I was right next to MJ.
You were right there to MJ. Yeah. I know you guys are too young to get into the club. You couldn't get in there, but we were in there. We were there. But it definitely was a good time last night. But right into the documentary, Mike, we start off with episode 9. Reggie taking it to Michael, saying he's not afraid of Mike. What were your thoughts about how the Pacers were covered, and also Mike saying they were the toughest team that they faced during and it was really hard during their time?
Man, you know, I talked to you. I told you. I said my episode was coming up. Mac, we talked. I said my episode's coming up. And man, I almost forgot something. 1 second.
Oh, here we go. Here we go with the antics.
Oh, man. He's doing more than Ramen did when he went to that NWO.
Mike, you're killing our time here, man. What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Come on, man. We got to make sure. we gotta make sure. You know what I'm saying? We got to make sure that we in the building when we. You know what I'm saying? We got to make sure that the great one is represented. You dig?
Oh man.
This was great, because I wanted people to see Reggie Miller was a great player and a clutch player. And the fact that Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, was able to say, you know what? This was the toughest team we played against in our whole run, other than the Pistons.
False.
Mad respect. You got to stop it. You'll get your chance next man. But the fact that Mike was able to show that love, and you saw the dynamics between Reggie as he was a young player, rookie coming in the league. He was like, this is Jordan. Now, you ain't Jordan. I'm going to go at you. But then he did recognize that second half, he scored like 2 points, and MJ torched him. But just the fact that you saw that, man, the Pacers really was there. Now, for me, the toughest loss wasn't that 98 loss. For me, the toughest loss for my Pacers was 2000 against the Lakers. I was a little older then, so I saw that one more, and that one hurt more. But just losing to MJ, it was one of those things, like, it was bittersweet, because like Charles Barkley said, when he lost, it's the greatest player ever. So it's like, what's the harm in losing them? But I just thought it was phenomenal that they allowed to show that competition between Reggie, and because really Reggie was the only two guard in that 90s era that really could go toe for toe with MJ, just in terms of playoff performance and stuff like that. So it was phenomenal. The whole series was phenomenal. So yeah, that was my thoughts.
I just like the fact that he called him Black Jesus. I
hated that.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I said it on my Instagram. I thought that was funny. Why would you say that? Why?
Hey,
Coach,
Carl.
what's up, man?
First of all, you don't have to say Black Jesus, because Jesus is black, but that's another story.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Go ahead and be controversial.
This is turning into something else.
That's just
okay, all right, fine. Go ahead, Marcus. Thank you for that. But Coach Womack, do you agree with Michael in terms of, we saw throughout this documentary how he faced a tough Knicks team. So now he comes out and he said the Pacers were the toughest team he ever played. How do you feel about those comments, Mac?
Let me get serious and put the real glasses on so I can look into the camera when I talk about my Knicks. Listen, I think MJ was correct when he said at that point in his career, that was the toughest contest he ever faced. Because you got to understand, that was the end of his career. that was MJ in 98 after, he took some time off, and to climb that mountain in the second three-peat was tougher than the first three-peat. But if you ask MJ after 92, 93, what was the toughest team? He would have said Pistons, then the Knicks. So that comment didn't get me upset because I talked about it earlier. That Pacers team, we had the most battles with that Pacers team, more than the Bulls. We faced them more in the playoffs. So I knew how tough that team was. So I give them respect. I can't say anything bad about that Pacers.
Yo, real quick before you skip, Carl, that's me and Mac, we've been boys for a minute. So that's what we talked about. It was more the Knicks than it was the Bulls for me. And Reggie literally cried when he lost to the Knicks. Like, it was more that battle than the Bulls like that. So,
yeah. All right.
Let's get the little kids in. So
Marcus, you're big on superstars. And we saw also in the highlight of Steve Kerr. I personally like that. It wasn't Rodman, it wasn't Pippen, it wasn't Jordan. It was a role player that they selected to highlight. What were your thoughts on that? Because I know you don't really care for role players. So what were your thoughts to see them actually highlight?
Hold on. Don't speak for me, number one.
Ooh.
Okay? I like superstars and I like people that move the needle. Let me just say this, by the way. Dennis Rodman appearing on WCW was one of the most iconic moments I've ever seen in my lifetime.
That was trash.
It wasn't trash, Mike. Get out of here. WWE pro wrestling all day.
But back to you, Carl. I'm glad that you're finally letting me talk, seeing as how we spent the first 7 minutes talking about the Bulls. Let me just say this.
Wait, hold on. Isn't that what the documentary was about, the Bulls?
Oh, I don't know. Was it about the Bulls or Michael Jordan? Because
he is the Bulls. He is the Bulls.
You said he is the Bulls? Oh, he's a one-man organization. Okay, I got you.
That was a franchise before him.
Anywho.
Go ahead. My fault, Marcus. Go ahead, bro.
No worries. Anywho, I thought episodes 9 and 10 were the best episodes. I thought they ended it perfectly. I thought they brought the story full circle, which if you follow any type of filmography, you know that's what you want, all right? Episodes 7 and 8 were kind of emotional given the fact that he lost his father and he retired. It didn't have as much encore action, but them actually chronicling those series against the Jazz and the Pacers, which, by the way, Mike, when I was watching that episode, I thought about you because I'm like, you're the only person I've ever met that's ever gone hard for Reggie Miller in life, to be honest. Like,
go to Indiana.
Especially coming out of New York. So I give you props for that. I'll save some of my other thoughts for the episodes later on in the show, though.
All right. Andres, what were your thoughts on episodes 9 and 10, watching the finale?
I think I gained a lot of respect for Steve Kerr. I didn't know that happened to his father. I think that motivated him to be a basketball player, and I just think that was a really crazy detail that ESPN included. Overall, I think that ESPN did a great job. It's crazy the amount of production they could use when they take time and develop film and gather a lot of information. They don't just throw information out to please the fans. They took this time with this documentary, 3-4 years, and I think overall they did a pretty great job.
Branden, I spoke to you about the documentary, and you had commented that you wanted to see more of the game. I felt like in episodes 9 and 10, they pretty much covered the both Utah series and also the Pacers series. So what were your thoughts on the episodes 9 and 10?
I definitely thought those were the two best episodes simply because there was more on-court action. And I think 1 through 8, it a little bit skimmed through his career. I liked how 9 and 10, you could really see how great Michael Jordan played, how great the Bulls were, and what they went up against. Love the shirt, Marcus.
Marcus, we can't see your face, bro. You got to move your camera up a little bit for us.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Okay, all right. So, given the fact
he's always on brand, Carl.
What's up?
He's always on brand.
I'm happy he did that because I swear to you, I promised myself I would not say LeBron James' name until Branden, Andres, or Marcus brought it up. And now, you
frame him now.
Branden lives like that, so I'm not gonna get you, Branden. You literally go to sleep every night and kiss that shirt goodnight and go to sleep. But Marcus, you opened it up, so now it's on.
You know what? Marcus kind of transitioned into what I really wanted to discuss in terms of, and I kind of have it here, is should we just end the debate about the GOAT in terms of appreciating both of them?
No.
But let me ask Marcus, Branden, and Andres, did your perspective on Mike change after watching 10 episodes on Mike? Branden, let me start with you. Did your perspective change?
Absolutely not. It did not change my perspective. I know where I stand on it. Jordan has a better legacy than LeBron James. I'm going to call a spade a spade. Do I think Michael Jordan's a better basketball player? I'm not sure about that. And I'm still holding on to this. LeBron James does more with less. I've seen him do it, and I know Jordan had supporting cast for things that Jordan's done in his career. That's really what I got in terms of that. But I feel like if it did change your perspective, then you weren't confident or you're confused. And if any of those two things happen, then you just didn't know enough about the topic to discuss.
Okay, fair point.
Hold
Marcus,
on, can I counter that real quick?
Give me 1 second, Mac. I'm going to get to you. Marcus, what were your thoughts? Did it change anything that you thought? Because some people had preconceived notions about Mike. This kind of took you into a world that we didn't know. Did anything change in terms of your perspective about the GOAT debate or Michael Jordan or LeBron or anything? What do you think?
Well, let me ask you this. Is the Pope Muslim? Okay. No. What this documentary confirmed is that Michael Jordan is the most protected athlete I have ever seen. Here's my issue with Michael Jordan's legacy. There's no disputing it. The 10 scoring titles, the slam dunk championship, the defensive player of the year.
Just describe my picture. Just describe my picture. Go ahead.
That's all it is.
Here's my problem, Mac and Mike Miller and Carl. What I find is that people unnecessarily fluff his legacy. There's no need to do it. It speaks for itself. We don't have to add anything extra. For over 20 years, I have been told that the man played 44 minutes in a basketball game with the flu. Tonight, he said that was not true. He said that he suffered food poisoning because the pizza delivery guys in Utah set him up. Which, if you believe that, then you still believe Santa Claus is real. Like, period.
St. Nicholas.
So my thing with Michael Jordan's legacy is, like Branden said, LeBron's still painting his picture. Does Jordan have a greater legacy to this point? Absolutely. And one of the reasons people revere MJ so much is because what he did was iconic. No one in the history of the NBA won 3, took time off, came back, reeled off another 3. In order to be an icon, you have to do something that someone has not done before. So that's why people have such reverence for Michael Jordan. I don't have a problem with that. But when it comes to basketball, LeBron James, to me, is a better basketball player. He's not a greater basketball player because he doesn't have the accolades that MJ does. Right. But on court, he's a better player to me than Michael Jordan.
Andres, where do you stand? Did anything in terms of your perspective change on Michael Jordan and watching the 10 episodes?
As a kid, you always hear about the triangle offense through Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, and through Phil Jackson. And then, like, with this documentary, we learned, like, more about the triangle offense. One of the things to point out is the year before Michael Jordan came with Phil Jackson, 91. In 1990, he averaged 8 assists a game. But he realized that when it came down to the playoffs, you know, he wasn't, like, passing as much. He wasn't, like, scoring as much. So in 91, when Phil gets him to buy into the offense, you know, he was more lethal. He was more clutch. He delivered in more situations. He learned how to, like, take over a game and with his stats, like, contributing to winning. There's an excerpt from 2018. Steve Kerr tells Kevin Durant, you know, Michael, sometimes he was scoring, but it didn't lead to anything. So, like, get your teammates involved and develop on that. So Kevin Durant, like, learned from that, obviously, and the Warriors went on to win the chip. Personally, I still think that Michael Jordan does have a greater legacy. You know, it's hard to question 6 finals MVP, 6 rings, retire once, to go through the conditioning that you go through in baseball, come back and win another championship at age 33, 34, and 35. I think, like Marcus said, LeBron's history is still being wrote, but when it comes to, like, the legacy, I still think Michael Jordan has a greater legacy.
All right, Coach, you came with the background. Do you agree with what Marcus said in terms of we know what Michael's legacy is and we shouldn't have to keep reminding people?
Listen, Marcus makes great points. I love watching his show. I love listening to him. He's really in tune. So I got to give credit to what credit is due, just to lay that out the way. But here's the thing. Michael Jackson's the greatest of all time. And people still say why he's the greatest of all time. Ali's the greatest of all time, and people still say why he's the greatest of all time. Beethoven and Mozart were the greatest of all time and what they did, and we still talk about Beethoven and Mozart every freaking music class that I've taken in college. We talked about the great ones. So when you're great and you're the greatest at what you do, it's going to keep continuing. When LeBron finishes his career, 30 years from now, we'll hear about when LeBron and Cleveland beat the Warriors when they were down 1-3. You'll continue to hear that for the rest of his life because the great ones, the legacies continue to be talked about. But I just want to touch on something Branden said real quick. He said LeBron does more with less. I think that's hard to believe. That's up for opinion because, you know, when you look at the stats, LeBron James played with 6 All-Stars. in his career. 6 also. Now I'll give you 5 because Mo Williams. All right.
Kevin Love is terrible. Can we get that straight? Cavaliers. Kevin Love is
okay. He's still okay.
Let him go. No, this is good. This is good. I like the back and forth. I'll let him go. Go ahead.
Kyrie Irving was absolutely phenomenal.
Chris Bosh.
That was his.
Chris Bosh.
Yo, hold on.
No, wait, Mike.
Was getting 30 and 30. What you mean Kevin Love was
30 and 30?
He got 30 and 30 in the game. What you mean?
Mike.
Watch him mouth.
Mike, the
Kevin Love was
keyword.
averaging 26 and 14. What you talking about?
Mike,
Kevin Love.
The key word Mike said was he was getting.
Yeah, maybe LeBron
was barbecue.
But you know what? But
maybe hold on, Carl. Maybe
hold on. You know why though, right? Because when you play with LeBron, like, and again, it's the
Become a
same thing with
better.
Dwayne Wade. It's the same thing with Chris Bosh. Their numbers are going to dip. You can't expect Kevin Love to average 25 and 30 if he's not going to get the ball just as much as he was in Minnesota.
Carl,
Like, that's not how
finish.
basketball works.
Can
Like,
I finish, Carl? Can I finish?
Go ahead, Coach.
I just want to finish. So you know, we got Kevin Love. All right, maybe he whatever. But I bet you most people would have said Kevin Love was better than Draymond Green before that first final series started. They would have said that. But anyway, let's move on. Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, most people would say he's better than Klay Thompson. Let's move on. Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh was top 3 in his position the year he went to Miami. Dwayne Wade was top 2 in his position the way he went to Miami. So don't say he did more with less. They both had good talent next to them. Michael Jordan, they both had equally talent.
Fair enough. I'm not going to argue that.
It's equal. We just got to understand that when LeBron, I'm going to wait till LeBron. That's why I said I got to wait to see whose legacy is over.
That's fair.
No, stop.
I got to wait.
No.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So Mike didn't get a chance to give me 1 second, Marcus.
Let Marcus come back at me. Let him come back, man. Let him come back.
Listen, Mike,
Go ahead, Marcus.
Let him come back, Marcus. Cook, Marcus.
Cook. No, this is fun. Go ahead, Marcus.
Because Jamal, as much as I love Coach, I got to call him Jamal right now. As much as I love Coach, Coach is being disingenuous. The reason that this is not a fair fight is because you all know in your heart that it doesn't matter what LeBron does. You will never have him eclipsing Michael Jordan as the GOAT. And that's okay.
That is a lie.
And that's okay.
Marcus, I'm going on record to say that if LeBron James only equals Michael Jordan in terms of championship wins, I would say LeBron James is the greatest of all time. I'm going on record. I'm just saying.
What would be your argument, though, Coach?
Wow.
Because my argument is to say that I don't care about Michael was 6-0. I don't give a rat's butt about that status. You have to say that when it's head to head, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, no Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, no Will Chamberlain. We just talking about 2 players who won the most and led their team the most to championship victories. That's what I rated upon. So that's what I'm saying. If LeBron James gets the 6 rings and what everything else he did in terms of statistics being higher than Michael Jordan, I will say LeBron James is the greatest basketball player ever. Do I think he'll get there? No, because I think his time has passed. But we'll see. He has a couple more seasons left.
Okay, so Mike, what's your thoughts in terms of Mike? Your perspective may be different because you were a big LeBron fan before Miami. We all know this. You love LeBron, and then once he went to South Beach, you hated him. You hated Michael. You hate Michael growing up, but then now watching the documentary, you've kind of come full circle to appreciating Mike.
True.
So where do you stand in terms of Mike and LeBron in terms of the GOAT debate?
Well, you mentioned the point. So part of what happened with LeBron early on when I was a fan, hating Michael Jordan so much, I thought he could eclipse Michael Jordan. But a lot of things happened. I know we're going to get into the details, but just a quick point. I agree with Mac. This idea that LeBron makes teammates better and all this thing, we literally have no evidence of that. We have no evidence of that. We have no.
Hold on. We're about to
so before y'all talk, we gonna see, because I knew I had stat geeks here. So Carl, I had to jump in the hyperbolic time chamber and become a stat geek again. So my question to the stat geeks is, tell me who became an all-star when they were playing with LeBron. Tell me whose numbers got better playing with LeBron. All the all-stars that played with LeBron, their numbers.
Kyrie Irving.
I got one player too.
Numbers got better playing with LeBron.
Kyrie Irving played his 3 best years.
Now, and Mo
Williams.
So
Mo Williams too. Mo Williams
every champion. Mo Williams, great point, Carl. Mo Williams before LeBron was averaging 17.5. Mo Williams with LeBron was averaging 17.5. He became an all-star because he was on a 61-win team. On Milwaukee, he was on a 30-win team. But thank you for that. So
I mentioned Kyrie Irving.
Hold on. With LeBron's championships, he won championships with already all-stars, correct?
Sure.
Yes.
Kyrie?
Yo, Brandon tight. He said sure.
Yes.
He had Kyrie.
With Michael Jordan, can someone please tell me what Scottie Pippen was before he played with the Bulls?
Nah, chill. He was in college.
He was in college.
Oh, my fault. Oh, so he wasn't even in. Oh, so Michael Jordan did. So wait a minute. So, but one guy won championships with guys that were already all-stars. The other guy made another guy a Hall of Famer. I'm confused.
He made Scottie a Hall of Famer.
Hold on.
He made Scottie a Hall of Famer. That's
And my
laughable.
only point, and I want the stat geeks because I was prepared for it. So I want y'all to answer. This is what I've always said, Carl. I said, LeBron does not win any of the three major arguments to determine greatest player or what people do. There's three ways to do that. Some people go with rings, some people go with stats, some people go with a combination of both. When it comes to rings, he can't win that, Bill Russell. When it comes to stats, I dare anybody to argue that Wilt Chamberlain's not the greatest statistical player ever. What you're going to argue is, oh, his error wasn't, you're going to argue error. So he can't win a stat fight. When you look at the combination, then it's Michael Jordan. Why is this still an argument? It isn't, and to me, he will never eclipse him.
Okay, so
let Brandon go. I want Brandon to go, Carl.
Okay,
let Brandon go, man.
Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
Why is everything so based on rings? Like, people pretend Michael Jordan won all of them by himself. First off, I want to touch on the 96 finals. Gary Payton spoke that he wanted to wear Michael Jordan down, wear and tear on him. Michael Jordan, the meme of him laughing like it didn't happen. He can't guard me, he says. Listen. Games 4, 5, and 6 of the 1996 finals, when Gary Payton finally guarded Jordan with the torn calf that he set on first take, he averaged 23.6 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists on 36% shooting and 11% from 3. And I heard that Michael has never disappeared in a fourth quarter. Let's define never. Never means not a single time did it happen. In Game 4, they got blown out by 23 points.
You're a grown man. You don't know what hyperbole means?
No.
Go ahead. You don't know what that means?
The Jehovah's Witnesses.
Actually, never.
The Jehovah's Witnesses preach hyperbole.
Brandon, I just want to say, be careful before you talk about disappearing acts.
Exactly. So they say Michael Jordan has never.
Andres, you just watch.
They say Michael Jordan has never done it. In Game 4, he had 5 points in the fourth quarter, 1 from 3.
Let's go to 2011. What happened?
You had your turn, Michael.
Let him finish.
You had your turn, Michael.
Mike, let him finish.
I was waiting for this for like 3 months.
Game 5. So another disappearing in the fourth quarter. Michael Jordan had a whopping 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting. His last field goal came at 9-10 left in the game. Is that disappearing? Oh, and what about Game 6? In a closeout game that the Bulls close out the Supersonics, excuse me. And in the beginning of that game, Marv Albert said Gary Payton outplayed Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan looked tired. And Carl, you should know this better than anyone. Remember in 2018 Eastern Conference Finals Game 5, LeBron was leaning against the scores table, drinking water, and Mike Green said he's tired. And social media blew up and said, Michael Jordan would never get tired. You see how exhausted LeBron James is? You kill him for that. But he was exhausted. That's what Marv Albert said.
What did he finish with in that game, Brandon?
And then
Game 6. What did he finish with?
To close that game, Michael Jordan had another 2 points in the fourth.
My man can't get an answer?
What did he finish with, though?
0 for 5 from the field, and his last bucket of the game came with 6 minutes in the third quarter. He went the last 18 minutes of the closeout game not making a single basket. And this is the guy who's clutch, who has never disappeared in the fourth quarter. And so to add up all the 3 of those games in the fourth quarter, Michael Jordan shot 2 of 12 for 16% with a total of 9 points in 3 straight fourth quarters. Did he disappear? Did he have help? Did he have help? Did he by himself?
You want to know what I call disappearance?
Did Michael Jordan win by himself?
You want to know what I call disappearance? You know what I know disappearance? In 5 fourth quarters, only taking 18 shots.
No.
Wait.
I didn't think
Wait. Hear my stats.
Look.
I'll let you speak your stats. Let me say my stats. You know what I call disappearing? 18 shots as the best player in the world in 5 games in the fourth quarter. How do you only take 18 shots?
Hold on. So Michael Jordan went 2 for 12 in 3 straight.
Hold on.
What's that?
Hold Hold on, Carl. Let me reel the rookie in. Branden, that was a phenomenal soliloquy, even though you took most of the time. That was.
We
got 8 minutes left. 8 minutes left, fellas. So make it good.
All right. Let me, Carl. Before
we 42 minutes already.
Carl, this is what I really want to
Wait,
say to the panel.
Come on, we got to make it quick. Go ahead, Marcus. Hurry up.
This is what I want to say to the panel. For everyone out there listening, I was born March 21st, 1993. Greatest year of my life, obviously. Right? By the time I was 5, Michael Jordan was already en route to championship number 6. Now, I don't know too much about the development of young children, but if anyone can tell me with a serious face that at age 5 they understand the intricacies of basketball, then more power to you. But it's not possible, right? So the reason many people who are my age and above, so if you were born in 93 and above, cannot actually say Michael Jordan's the GOAT is because you did not watch him play. Don't tell me about hardwood classics. Don't tell me about YouTube. It's not the same.
I could talk a little different, Marcus. For my, no disrespect, for my experience on coaching and watching games, I've watched them extensively.
You was born in the 80s though, correct?
Yeah, I was born in the 80s. Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is I don't have a problem with the older generation or the old guard who say Jordan's the GOAT. I get it. If you don't like Michael Jordan, you're a weirdo. Like, I'm telling this to the public. If you don't like him as a basketball player, you're a weirdo.
Branden?
Right?
I don't. Here, can I get one thing?
No, but Branden respects me.
Nah, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
This is my problem. I can't stand the false narratives you guys give. Everything you guys kill.
Wait, hold on.
You haven't heard none yet.
That is my
You heard nothing but facts.
Andres, okay, so real quick. Andres,
Hold on, Branden.
Name
name one false narrative I've painted this entire 32 minutes. Which one?
You didn't. I'm talking about the public. I'm talking for the people.
No, talk about
real quick. Andres, do you have any points? Because I know you've been quiet and patiently waiting. Do you have any points to add to this?
I just want to ask Mike how he witnessed Michael Jordan eliminate his team, Kobe Bryant eliminate his team, and LeBron and D Wade eliminate his team 3 times.
Ooh, dang.
And LeBron did it in 2018 too. Yeah, that 7-game series.
Mike, they came for you, fam. I'm sorry, bro.
This guy's a Hall of Famer. That's how I'm okay with it. I sleep well at night knowing Reggie's a Hall of Famer, baby. I sleep well at night. Great at night. My man's a Hall of Famer. I sleep great at night. I sleep great at night. I sleep great, and so does Reggie Miller. My man's a Hall of Famer. I don't care.
Okay. So here's my question. So here's my final point. Could we, and this is why I'm wearing the shirt, could we just end the debate and just say they're both great and appreciate both?
No.
Just end it?
Nah.
Wait, Coach.
Okay.
Marcus, please, Marcus.
Marcus, could we just end the debate and just appreciate both players?
Yes.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I just copped the Sixers last week. I don't have a problem with Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I kid to you, I don't. There's no way you can claim to like basketball and not like him as a player. Like, you would be a weirdo. Like I said, his resume speaks for itself. We don't have to do the fluff story. Like, it's just not necessary. It stands on its own. We don't have to embellish stuff. We don't have to pretend that he took and made every last second shot. It's okay. He was a great player. So
Mike, could we just end the debate? Could we just end it and just say they're both great players and that's it?
Marcus told us why we could. Because what did he say? I was born in a certain era where I had a guy. If you ask dudes from the 60s, you can't argue with them that Wilt Chamberlain wasn't the greatest. If you ask dudes from the 70s and 80s, they're going to tell you Kareem and Magic. 90s people, we're going to say MJ. He was born in 93. He's going to say LeBron. That's why the debate in general, it really doesn't make sense because every era has their great one. Every era has holes in the way that the game was played. Every era is different. There's no way to decide this, bro.
Why didn't you mention Larry Bird?
Branden, can we just end the debate and just call them both great or no?
I'm totally fine with that, but it's more than just the group. It's the public who just takes the false narratives. And I feel like there's a law. If you're a Jordan fan, you have to knock LeBron. But like, you guys are not bad with it. I'm not saying you guys. I'm saying the public as a whole.
Yeah.
Everyone feels that they have to knock LeBron to uptick.
I like LeBron
Legacy. I'm not saying you. I'm saying the public as
a whole. You like him, Coach. I love him.
Okay, Andres, could we end the debate? Could we put it to a rest?
We could, because like me, for example, the day that Kobe passed, I realized that I don't gain anything from like bashing Harden, bashing
somebody got to do.
Hey, listen, Marcus, you talked for 56 minutes. I'm getting my 2 minutes.
Get your two, bro. Get your two.
Get your two.
Go ahead. Let him get it.
Miller spoke for 58.
Go ahead.
Let him cook,
after Kobe passed, you realize that like basketball like isn't forever, and these players are gonna retire. So I don't think it's fair to compare any of the three. You know, everyone has their own GOAT. By the way, Mike, you did not shout out Larry Bird, and Larry Bird was a GOAT in his time. Moving on.
Who I do want to shout out real quick, Carl. I want to shout out Juanita Jordan. He didn't mention her in none of the documentary. She was with him the whole time. I'm supporting Black Queens at all day. I'm shouting her out. Sorry.
Can I get mine?
Okay. Listen, Coach. You get the finale. So, Coach, as the player, here's the thing. Could we put this debate to rest? Also, is this debate just for us fans, or do the players actually talk about the GOAT in terms of Jordan and LeBron?
I'll tell you straight up, the players talk about it. They talk about it. I got players in my text messages right now who played in the league who are debating it right now. It's something us fans, it's something that people who watch basketball love to do. It keeps us going. It keeps it fresh. It keeps us moving. But I'll tell you this right now. Years from now, we're going to look at the cultural impact of both players in different ways. Jordan did something that LeBron can never do in terms of making the game go global, but LeBron did something that Jordan never did in terms of cultural and social impact. So both of them are just as important. It's what kind of, do you like jelly? Do you like jam? I like jam.
I respect that.
I'm with Jordan.
I respect that.
All right, so
I will say this.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Recency bias is a real thing, and that's why I desperately want the season to resume. LeBron has to win a championship this year.
For legacy purposes, you know it's coming.
All right. Well, you guys, okay.
Hold on. That's Trump. He said it's no season, baby. It's not.
It's over.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining me on the Sports Hit List. A wonderful presentation for us to break down the documentary. I thank you, my brothers, you guys. Over here, he's finishing with the Mike Miller. We got the 23-23. We got here to end the debate for the Sports Hit List. The GOAT background. What's up?
Sometimes I dream.
That is me. Like Mike. I just want to be like Mike. You guys have a good night. Take care. That is Carl Kunaj for the Sports Hit List. Please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe all over. Take care.